just this last line right here.
Left foot plantar abrasion, blood thinners, minor bleeding to lower gums.
And what is the date of service?
10/21/2023.
Okay, thank you. Now you stated that you did not write a report, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that something that's common when multiple officers are responding to a scene?
Yes.
And you did notate the scope of your duties on scene in the key card, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so ultimately, you did not, who is the person that took the report writing duties?
Officer Gapin.
Did you have an opportunity to observe any video evidence on that date?
No,
Okay, and why is that?
I did not look at the video because I was not continuing to handle the preliminary investigation.
Okay, when you say you're not continuing to handle, does that mean that you kind of just handed off the investigation to Kyle Gapin?
Yes.
Okay, and so did he consult you in any way about what offense he was writing up or anything like that?
No, I do not recall.
Okay, did you have knowledge of his report and the offense associated with that before today?
No.
Okay, and have you had a chance to review the video evidence associated with the case?
Yes.
After reviewing that video evidence, would you have reached the same conclusion as Gapin?
Judge, that calls for a legal conclusion. He didn't write a report.
Well, Judge,
She's asking him to rely
I'm
on
gonna add that
hearsay.
approach for this sidebar.
All right, approach. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna back up a little bit. So it was your testimony that you were the first on scene, is that correct?
Yes.
And on scene, you took a statement from Mark Planton, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you further took a statement from the defendant Darren Johnson, is that correct?
Yes,
And then further, you took a statement from Aaron Rodriguez, is that correct?
yes,
And you were the only officer that spoke to Aaron Rodriguez on that day, isn't that correct?
I don't know.
Okay, and when you spoke with the defendant, did she show you any video evidence?
No,
However, you observed all the parties and took statements from everybody that you deemed relevant to the investigation, correct?
yes,
And, after doing that, Officer Gapin comes in and kind of assists in the or takes over the investigation, is that correct?
yes,
And so he took statements from the defendant Darren Johnson and Mark Clanton. Do you know if he did that?
yes, that's what he would have done, yes.
Okay, and so then he writes a report. Did you write a report charging anyone with an offense?
No,
Okay, and would you, and you did not have the opportunity to view video evidence on scene, correct?
no,
But you've since viewed that video evidence, is that correct?
yes,
And after viewing that evidence, would you have written a report
Judge?
against?
Well, just a second, let me hear the question.
After viewing the video evidence, would you change the course of your investigation? Or would you leave it as is? I guess let me rephrase the question. Well, I guess, are you gonna, go ahead.
Well, is that the question?
Well, I was gonna rephrase, but if you want to object to that question, go ahead.
The way it was asked, Judge, was in my objection.
All right,
You want to approach?
all right, the previous objection will be overruled to that question.
Can you approach?
Yes.
Since that day, have you had an opportunity to review Officer Kyle Gapin's report?
I did so today.
Okay, and in your review of the duties that you did on scene, right? So taking witness statements, and then since that day, viewing video evidence, would you have wrote up an offense on either party?
Judge, that's not relevant.
All right, the objection to relevancy will be sustained.
Would you change any of the things that you did on scene that
Again,
day?
Judge, that's not relevant.
All right, that will be sustained.
In totality of everything that you viewed on today, with the things that you did on the offense day and the evidence that you've reviewed since, would the conclusion of the investigation that you conducted on scene have changed?
Judge,
All right, could everybody approach?
Okay, and so on scene, you decided to not write up any offense against anyone, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, pass the witness.
Officer,
Oops.
thank you, Judge. Officer, you were first on scene, but you weren't the primary officer, is that right?
correct.
Okay. What are the duties of a primary officer?
The primary officer is gonna have to write the offense report and make the decision on really who's gonna be the suspect and the victim. After speaking with everybody, taking the statements, figuring out what happened.
And so, for lack of a better term, he's not really the boss out there, but he's the lead officer, is that right?
Yes,
So it's his duty at that point in time to gather all the information that he's aware of in speaking with other officers, is that right?
yes,
Speaking with the witnesses,
yes,
looking at all the evidence they possibly can.
yes,
And then based on all of that, he writes his report, is that right?
yes,
Your job then at that point in time was just to say, I'm here, let me just get a general idea of what is happening.
yes,
And that's what you did.
yes.
And in fact, in watching that video, you didn't even give any kind of first aid at all.
No,
Okay. You just kind of got, this is a general idea of what's going on, then all the other officers come in, is that right?
I was handling the investigation and then it was taken over by Officer Gapin at the request of his field training officer.
In fact, because it's taken over, you didn't even write a report.
Yes, that's correct.
So your memory right now is based on just the video you saw
Yes,
of them. I'll pass it to this judge.
And no further questions for this witness, Judge.
All right, is this witness excused?
By the state, yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. Make sure you leave the exhibits with the court reporter. State, call your next witness.
State called Aaron Rodriguez.
Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the members of the jury can hear. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
Aaron Rodriguez.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Aaron, how old are you?
I am 19.
And what city do you currently live in?
San Antonio.
How long have you lived in San Antonio?
My entire life.
And did you attend high school in San Antonio?
Yes, ma'am.
What high school did you attend?
James Madison High School.
Okay. Are you employed currently?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what are your plans for the future?
Recently I'm trying to talk to a recruiter about joining the Texas National Guard.
Okay. Now I want to talk to you about October 21st of 2023. Do you recall that day?
Yes,
And where were you on that day?
ma'am. At my girlfriend's house.
And on what street does your girlfriend live?
Flairwood.
Okay, does your girlfriend have a next door neighbor?
Yes,
Who are the next door neighbors, if you know?
ma'am. Ina Clayton and was Mark Clayton too.
Okay. When you say was Mark, what do you mean by that?
Before he passed away.
Okay. And so Ina and Mark, are the neighbors of your girlfriend's grandma, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you were at the house on that day, is that correct?
Yes,
And were you inside or outside?
I was outside.
Okay, what were you doing outside?
I was in the front yard or by the front door on the phone with my grandmother.
Okay. And so, if I'm you, right, and I'm at your girlfriend's grandmother's house looking out towards Flairwood Drive, Ina and Mark's house is located where, on the left or the right side?
The right side.
Okay. And so you're standing there, and did you observe anything out of the ordinary on that day?
No. When I went outside, it was pretty normal. I actually witnessed Mark putting his trash cans outside. And but other than that, no.
Okay. Did you observe anything regarding the trash cans later on after Mark put them?
Rephrase the question.
Okay, so you observed Mark put his trash cans out, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then what happened regarding the trash cans after that?
Shortly after, a white pickup truck pulled up and she got out, moved the trash cans to his driveway, and he asked her to not touch his property, which he then proceeded to move them back to where they were. And then she got back in her pickup truck after moving them, and I heard the engine rev, then put into gear, and that's when he fell, and I witnessed the truck hit him in the front right part where the headlight is.
Okay. So when you say her got off the truck, who are you referring to? If you don't know her name, that's okay, but do you see the same person in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please point to her and identify her by an article of clothing?
She's wearing the gray jacket.
Thank you. And so when you observe the truck, did you get to observe if it like went up on the curb?
Yes, ma'am.
It did?
Yes.
Okay. And after the collision, what happened with Mark?
He was, what I seen, he was thrown to the ground, which concerned me because I thought he actually had gotten run over. So at the time, I ran inside and told my my girlfriend's grandmother to call the police and possibly EMS.
Okay. Do you know, did police arrive on scene on that day?
Yes.
And did you talk to any police officers?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall how many police officers you spoke with?
Only one.
Okay. And I'm gonna publish safe exhibit number 3. And you have a screen up there, but if you need to, you can turn around and look on the big screen. So I'm pausing the state's exhibit. We see an individual in a white shirt and black basketball shorts. Do you know who that person is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so this home that I'm toggling the mouse over right here, do you know whose home that is?
Yes, ma'am.
Whose home is that?
Ina and Mark Klein.
Okay, and then this home that I'm toggling my mouse over,
Mhm.
whose home is that?
That is my girlfriend's house.
Okay, and so you were standing in front of this house when you observed this, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on state's exhibit number 3, is that you providing a statement to the officer that spoke with you on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um. Now, I'm going to show you what has been marked as state's exhibit number 5. Do you recognize this? Is this a copy of a video that you've previously reviewed?
Yes.
And does this video fairly and accurately depict the events as you observed them on the offense date?
Yes.
And except to comply with legal rules, has it been altered in any way?
Not that I know of.
At this time, the state offers state's exhibit number 5.
No objection, John.
All right, state's exhibit number 5 is admitted without objection.
A permission to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
And so on the state's exhibit, these trash cans that you observed, who placed them out there?
Mark.
Okay. And the person that's moving the trash cans on the state's exhibit, is that the same person that you identified in court today?
Yes, ma'am.
And do we see another truck driving on the street?
Yes, ma'am.
And another car?
Yes, ma'am.
And after you observed the collision, what did you do?
I proceeded to go inside. Well, first I hung up the phone with my grandmother, explaining what happened. Then I went inside to tell my girlfriend's grandmother to call the police.
Okay, and then after you did that, what did you do?
I went outside to go check on Mark.
And is that you that we see where I'm toggling my mouse?
Yes, ma'am.
We passed the witness, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
Good morning. My name is William Davidson. I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Okay.
Now, you said that you were out there and saw this,
Yes, sir.
and was it your testimony a minute ago that you were on the phone with your grandmother explaining what happened
After the fact, yes, sir.
after the fact? But would you agree with me, there's quite a bit of time that goes by, you're not seeing in the video, you're not seeing running up there to check on him or anything, are you?
No, sir.
Okay. And you're aware that this happened back in 2023 and that Mr. Clanton didn't pass away until late 2025 or early 2025 for some other reason?
Yes, sir.
And would it surprise you that the officer who was running this investigation said he talked to everybody and that he didn't find any witnesses that were there?
That is not of my knowledge.
Now, would you agree with me that video is coming from a different angle than what you say you saw?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware that it was from our client's front door?
The video footage?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's the witness, Your Honor.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, is the witness excused?
Yes, by the state, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. State, call your next witness.
The state calls Detective D. Smith.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record, and make sure you keep your voice up so that members of the jury can hear.
My name's Detective David Smith.
All right, you may proceed.
Detective Smith, how are you currently employed?
With the San Antonio Police Department. Work our fusion unit.
Okay. How long are you a certified peace officer?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been with the San Antonio Police Department?
28 years.
And your current title and assignment, well, let me back up. What kind of training did you undergo to become a law enforcement officer with SAPD?
I went through our police academy for 7 months and then ongoing training from there.
Okay. Now, what is your current title and assignment with SAPD?
I'm an intelligence detective with our Southwest Texas Fusion Center.
Typically, what does the Fusion Center deal with?
Generally, I do follow-up work for cases. We have a variety of cases. We deal with anything from obstructing highway to weapons cases, unlawful carrying, that kind of thing, all the way to terroristic threats with school threats, things like that.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, if a patrol officer makes the scene and writes a report, it would be forwarded to you for follow-up investigation. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And were you assigned to conduct follow-up investigation on SAPD 2323-6613?
That case number sounds familiar.
Okay. Well, were you assigned for follow-up investigation for the case that we're here for today?
Yes,
Okay, and did you generate a supplemental report associated with that?
I did.
Okay, and would it help refresh your memory if you had a copy of that up there with you?
I've read it recently.
Okay. So I'm gonna show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 7 for identification purposes only.
Oh,
Is that a copy of the report that you've written?
Yes,
Okay, and is it a fair and accurate depiction of the report that you generated associated with this call?
yes, it appears so.
Okay, and so can you just let the jury know what the SAPD case number associated with the call is?
SAPD 2323-6613.
Okay, and can you explain to the jury how you ended up with that assigned to that call?
This case was originally written as an obstructing highway passageway, which includes streets, sidewalks, that kind of thing. And it was assigned to me.
Okay. And what did you do once you received the case?
I read the original report. I haven't read the original report recently. But when I read the original report, I made contact with the complainant of that particular case. That complainant indicated to me that she had video of the incident that took place where he was obstructing her passageway or her ability to move on the roadway. So I asked her to send it to me. She was the complainant. She sent me the video. After watching the video, I realized that the elements of the offense for obstructing the passageway weren't there. And I informed her of that. She wanted me to help her because apparently she had some dealings with this.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm just gonna stop you right there, okay?
Okay.
And so after you observed the video evidence, I'm gonna show you what's been marked or entered into evidence as State's Exhibit number 5. And if you have a screen in front of you, but if you need to turn around, you can do so to view the State's Exhibit.
I can see here.
Is that the video that was provided to you? And the victim at the time, the victim of the obstruction, was that the defendant Darren Johnson?
Yes,
Okay. And so she sent you this video, is that correct?
correct.
And she purported it to be a fair and accurate depiction of what occurred?
Yes.
And after reviewing that, what was the result of your follow-up investigation of the case?
My follow-up, I didn't feel that the elements of the offense for obstructing a passageway were present, and the case was unfounded.
Okay, and on State's Exhibit number 5, isn't it true that we observed multiple vehicles traveling along Flairwood Drive?
Certainly.
And then after you deemed the obstruction charge unfounded, who did you pass the case off to?
It went over to homicide ultimately.
And so at that time, did a different detective take over for follow-up investigation?
Correct.
We pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
Detective, my name's Robert Porter. In all fairness, you and I know each other quite
Yes.
some time.
Been a while.
Been a while. Detective, so you were assisting Dylan Myers?
I'm sorry.
Were you assisting Detective Dylan Myers?
I didn't have much contact with him.
Okay, so your job was then, as a detective, just to see as far as whether this was an obstruction case or not. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, whether to charge this gentleman with obstructing or not?
Correct.
You weren't making any recommendations about anything else?
I felt like the elements could be there for another offense. Therefore, I sent it. That's why it was sent over to.
Okay, and we say could, right, without
Correct.
further investigation.
Correct.
So you're limited in scope was just to do homework, I guess, for better statement, homework on the original police officer. Is that right?
It's follow-up work.
Just follow up.
Correct.
So that's all you had to do with this case.
Correct.
Absolutely.
No further questions.
All right, is this witness excused?
What, I'm sorry, Judge, can I have one more question?
Yes.
Did you ever go out to the scene?
I did not.
All right, is this any other questions?
No, Judge, excused by the state.
Excused?
Excuse.
All right, thank you. You may step down. Just make sure you leave the exhibit with the court reporter and remove the mic.
Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
The state calls Officer L. Sanchez.
All right, if you'll take a seat here, please. If you'll raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record. Make sure you keep your voice up so that the members of the jury can hear.
Lawrence Sanchez.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Officer Sanchez, how are you currently employed?
I am an officer with the San Antonio Police Department.
How long have you been with the San Antonio Police Department?
I've been with them 5 years now, ma'am.
Are you a certified peace officer?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of training did you undergo to be a law enforcement officer with the San Antonio Police Department?
I went through 7 months of training at the San Antonio Police Department Training Academy. Spent 3 months on FTO program and then an additional year on probation.
And what is your current title and assignment with the San Antonio Police Department?
Right now, I am assigned to the North Safe Unit, which stands for the San Antonio Fear-Free Environment.
Okay. And what are your duties as an officer with the Safe Unit?
We work as a liaison between the police department and neighborhood communities. We engage with community leaders. We assist with homeless abatements, council complaints, neighbor disturbances, and code violations.
Okay. And were you employed as an officer with the Safe Unit on November 1st, 2023?
Yes.
And were you on duty that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you dispatched to Flairwood Drive to conduct follow-up investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall the SAPD case number associated with the case that we're here for today?
I do not recall the exact case number, ma'am.
Did you generate a supplemental report at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it help you to refresh your memory if you had a copy of that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit number 6. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you the author of that document?
I am.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the supplemental report that you generated for
Yes.
this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can use it to refresh your memory, just don't read from it, but can you please tell the jury the SAPD case number associated with the case?
Yes, it's going to be SAPD 232-36613.
Okay, and can you explain to the jury how you ended up with the case for follow-up investigation?
Yes, ma'am. So on November 1st of 2023, I was contacted by our fusion unit. Like I said, my job, one of the aspects of my job is dealing with neighbor disturbances. They had this case assigned to them. It was stated, it was told to me that the original case,
Object, Your Honor, it's hearsay.
Sustained.
Okay, so without saying what you're told, just explain to the jury how you ended up with the case. So you, if I'm understanding correctly, you were contacted by Fusion and they were asking you, it didn't fit the crimes that they investigate. Is that fair to say?
that is fair, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so they felt that the appropriate unit would be the state unit, which is your unit.
Correct, yes, ma'am. They deemed it that I could assist both parties. Essentially, it was a neighbor disturbance. So they sent it to me to see if I can assist both parties further. And that's how it came to my desk.
Okay, and then so once you received the case, what was the next step that you took?
So part of the case, there was email sent to me as well as a video of the incident that was provided by the defendant. I looked over the video, saw the entire video, and after looking at the video, talked to my supervisor and let him know what was going on. And we came up with the plan to just go out and interview the victim to see if there's any other additional elements to the offense that occurred. So that's what I did, is went out there and just took a witness statement.
Okay, and so who are the individuals that you took witness statements from on November 1st of 2023?
It would be Mr. Mark Clinton.
Okay, and when you took the witness statement, did you make any observations regarding Mr. Mark Clanton?
Yes, well, he stated to me that he had bruising on his left
Object
arm.
on hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustained.
I observed scabs on his right knee and his right foot.
Okay. And then after reviewing the video evidence and taking the witness statements, what did you next do with the case?
I contacted the follow-up unit again, or the detective at Fusion. Contacted him, let him know what was stated to me, let him know what was going on. I contacted my supervisor as well, let him know what was going on. And then we ended up contacting a homicide detective, let him know the entire situation. And after that, it was just deemed that I should write a supplement to the original case that was already reported.
Okay, and the supplemental report was for what offense?
It was going to be for the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Okay, and then was the case forwarded to another unit for more follow-up investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
And what unit would that be?
It would be the homicide unit.
Okay, and after it's transferred to the follow-up unit, is that like the end of your duty for the case?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we passed the witness.
All right, defense.
I'm William Davidson. I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Yes, sir.
Were you on the scene that day?
On the initial day of the report on October 21st, sir?
Yes.
No, sir.
And so your report was written later, correct?
Yes, sir.
And as part of your report, you would agree with me, you reviewed Kyle Gapin's report and other information, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you just testified that you went out to talk to the victim. The victim in that report was really my client, wasn't it? In the report.
In that report, it was. Yes, sir.
It was. But you didn't go out there to talk to that victim, did you?
No, sir.
So you never talked to her, did you?
No, sir.
Okay. And you weren't a witness to any of these events, obviously, because you weren't there, is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
And the original video that you watched, You obtained that from who?
Detective Smith.
That's what it's on.
Okay, just briefly. So you received the evidence in this case from Detective Smith, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so what was forwarded to you included the offense report of Officer Kyle Gabin, is that correct?
The case number was forwarded to me as well as the emails that were sent from the defendant.
Okay, and so under the case number with the case management system that SAPD has, you're able to look up the reports and key cards and everything, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so, in Officer Gapin's original report, the defendant was originally listed as the victim, correct?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
And the case ended up with you because Detective Smith spoke with Darren Johnson and deemed that report unfounded, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and so it was forwarded to you at that time for additional investigation concerning Mark Clanton being the victim of an assaultive offense, is that correct?
That is correct.
We passed the witness, Your Honor.
And when did you review the video?
November 1st, sir.
November 1st. Nothing further on.
And any further questions?
No, Judge, excused by state.
Is this witness excused?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may step down if you'll leave your exhibit with the court reporter.
Officer, if you could remove the mic too. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know I said I would give you a break at 11:30, but I like for both parties to be able to direct and cross the witness if they choose to do so. So it's 11:15, so we're going to take our break now. I'm going to have you all back here at 2:30, and the reason why we're starting at 2:30 is because I have an afternoon docket. It's unrelated to this case. Remember my instructions. You are not allowed to start deliberating with yourself internally. You're not allowed to deliberate with each other. You're not allowed to talk about this case to anyone. You're not allowed to do any investigation. Don't Google names. Don't go to locations that you may have heard about. Make sure your badges are always visibly displayed. And when we start at 2:30, you'll just be waiting for us in the jury room, all right? We can go off the record. So if you brought your lunches, great. If you didn't, there are plenty of places downtown. You'll have time to stroll along the river. If you want to have a picnic on the river, you can now. So there are plenty of different places. I know in the back jury room, we have different restaurants that you can consider. We don't endorse any restaurant. We're not allowed to, but there are just different restaurants that are listed back there, and they're all within walking distance. All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.